Good morning. I'm Rhetta Yount, and I work with Heroes on Horseback. We are an equine-assisted therapy program that began with a pilot program in May of 2000, and after the pilot program, we decided that it would be a great thing to do. So we began actual classes in the fall of 2000. So the program is 9.5 years old. And we've gone from having 25 volunteers and 5 riders to having 150 volunteers, and I'm not entirely sure how many riders. I forgot to ask Bob. But we have really grown a lot, and it is the most fun thing I think I've ever done.
What first got you involved in this?
I'm a rider.
Okay.
And a lady named Carol Melcher was down here as a part-timer. She has already started 3 different programs because she had some children, or a child with learning disabilities, as I did. And she saw the need. She actually met one of the mothers of our riders, and Carol was at that point taking her daughter all the way to Charleston to get to a therapeutic riding program because there wasn't anything closer. So Carol Melcher began to talk to various people in the horse world around Hilton Head, and I think a group of about 6 of us got together and formed a temporary board, joined the what was then the North American Riding for the Handicapped Association, and is now just known as NARA, through the initials for that, and held a pilot program.
How would your child benefit from this program?
Well, mine had learning disabilities, and we find that the regular motion of the horse really does some good things that help even build new or reinforce, we think, neural pathways. So if a child has ADD as well, attention deficit disorder, and they're kind of all over the place, then being on the horse gives them something that's giving them a lot of input physically and gives them something they really need to focus on, and it increases their attention span. It really does. So that's one of it increases their balance and their coordination as well. So there are a lot of different benefits for therapeutic riding.
Great. I understand there's a lot of different diverse of needs. Are there any needs that have kind of come through this program a little bit more than others, like you mentioned attention deficit, or do you find there's autism? Is that kind of a strong these days? We
have a very wide range that runs the gamut between high-functioning kids with autism, and on the autism spectrum, they call that Asperger's syndrome, down to profound effect of cerebral palsy. One of our riders who's been with us since the beginning and is now 15 or 16 has really profound cerebral palsy, and he cannot sit up on the horse. We have to support him, so we put him on a really short horse, and hopefully with tall volunteers to help him stay up. And it was about 3 years before I was sure, because he's totally nonverbal, and it was about 3 years before I was sure that he was really receiving what we were saying to him. We always talked to him like you would anybody. And then one day I was working with him, and I was trying to get him to release his hand because he has spasticity in his hands. So I was trying to get him to release his fingers, and he began to cooperate with me as I was doing it. What a special moment, to know that he's aware of what you're doing and wanting to participate in it. It's really special. We also have a bunch of, or have had, at least in the past, a bunch of disabilities that you never heard of before. So we've learned a lot as we've gone through this process, because we, of course, have to have a medical form for each child that specifies what his disability is and that that his doctor doesn't see any reason why he shouldn't be able to ride.
Right. And you mentioned some of the partners earlier. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the Special Olympics and how you work with them.
They've been such a good support for us. They're really wonderful. They have been one of our primary partners from a financial standpoint from, I think, the 3rd year. And we've had Special Olympics kids, or kids with disabilities, not all of them would qualify for Special Olympics, come to us from the schools, and Special Olympics has helped to make that happen. We have I'm not sure exactly how many riders we have now, because the program has not only expanded, but it's changed a little bit. So we have 3 riding sessions. And for each of those riding sessions, the kids that come from the school are a different set of people. And then the hope is that they will then continue on their own. We do a lot of fundraising, a whole lot of fundraising, because the cost of the program is considerably more than we would feel at ease, to put it mildly, in charging.
Mm-hmm.
So our lessons are, I think, $240 or $250 for a session, but it probably costs $600 or $700 as far as the upkeep on the horses. We do have some staff members, which are necessary with such a big program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really done some great things. This summer, they had camp sessions instead of the weekly sessions that we had during the year, because people were out of school.
Right.
And they had 61 riders come in for the summer long. So it's really exciting. And the instructors were just ecstatic, because they saw such a change. Having them every single day for a week is so much better for them physically, and so much better for them as far as riding is concerned, than having them once a week, which is the norm because the kids are in school. So.
Right. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with people that may be a surprise or a story they may not be aware of?
I think I'd like to tell you about one rider in particular who is severely affected by cerebral palsy. She's an adult. And I was out here on Saturday, which was not my normal day, but I came out for something. And this particular rider walks with a cane and sometimes has to have help from a person on the other side. As they were leaving, her mother called me and said, "You've got to see this." And I went over to her mother. And Christy dropped her mother's arm and gave her mother the cane and was walking on her own. You know, when you see things like that, it's just incredible. There's another rider who has Down syndrome. Many people with Down syndrome have a thick tongue and are difficult to understand when they talk. She had such a hard time at school with people teasing her that she shut down. She wouldn't talk to anybody. It was the second year that this happened, but she began to talk to the volunteers, because being on horseback gave her something she really wanted to communicate. And she began to reach out to those people that we had working with her, and it was also just such a special thing. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard to winnow down and just get 2 or 3 stories, but it's just a very, very special thing. The relationship between the horses and the riders, the horses and the volunteers, and the volunteers and the riders is something that you don't get anywhere else.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you inviting the Hope Bus Tour in today and sharing your stories with us.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your being here.
Thank you.